Previously on Under Construction. First I was like, And then I was like, good morning, Vietnam! This is not a test, this is rock and roll. And then I went, come with me if you want to live. And then I was like, whoa. But then she was totally, I'll get you, my pretty, and you get a dog, too. But then I, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Bro.
And then I totally, stop. What? What's wrong? That's not what happened. None of that happened. What are you even doing, bro? Well, I knew that I needed to recap a little bit, so I thought I'd spice things up a little bit. You know, add a little drama. Oh yeah, that's what the world needs, more drama. Just stick with the script. Yes, just stick to the copy, Evan. The copy is good. But, fine. You guys are no fun. Previously on Under Construction. You know what? There's the link to the previous video. Y'all can watch it yourselves. If you guys need me, I'll be in my trailer, taking a nap. Wow. Thanks for the juice, guys. That really helped. I feel better now. Hey, comment below with how many movies you think we actually quoted from back there. Anyway, let's get back to fixing the Disneyland Haunted Mansion from Department 56. In our last episode, we discovered that the LEDs the D56 used had some kind of flashing mechanism built into them. And if we were going to replace them, we would need to put together an Amazon order. So let's take a closer look. Oh, another movie reference. Our mansion, having just had its LEDs extracted, now had 4 openings up front for some shiny new lights. But which lights would be best to use? Well, Past Evan busted out a dusty old breadboard from his car stereo installation instruction days and got to experimenting. He put in some current limiting resistors to make sure that he didn't burn out his new diodes, and then tried out several types of LEDs. Now, the flashing LEDs that Department 56 used were standard 5mm LEDs, which are super easy to find and in great abundance. Past Evan tried green, wide-angle lights, which were super bright. Ultraviolet straw hat LEDs, simple low-output green LEDs, and even some amber and red lights. Then he tried some 5mm LEDs with some color changing built right into the diode itself. I've sped up this footage here so that you can see the colors better, but these have some potential. His experimenting went long into the night until Sally was nice enough to bring us one of her special drinks. Hey, maybe that's why I was acting weird earlier. Anyway, Past Evan's experiments narrowed down the list of possible light candidates, so he went and soldered up a few diodes to try on the house itself. To do so, he tinned both the LED leads and the 28-gauge wires that he used. By tinning the wires, he limits the risk of the hot soldering iron damaging the diodes. Plus, by making these parallel connections and using 28-gauge wires, he was able to fit the wires and the LEDs into the original holes without having to modify the building itself. Past Evan then used heat shrink and his trusty heat gun to isolate the leads and protect the connections themselves. Beautiful! One down and a ton more to go. We'll skip right past the production of the lights and get to placing them into the house to see which ones worked the best. Fortunately, the lights went in really easily. The first lights he tried were the color-changing ones, and these had interesting results. They're certainly less offensive and abrupt than the flashing ones from the factory, and they provide a pleasantly haunting glow to the front of the mansion. However, the Homeowners Association in our village felt that the color-changing lights would be too distracting, so they put the kibosh on those LEDs. Then he tried the green, wide-angle LEDs. They generated an eerie green wash across the front of the house. but it was just too bright for the neighbors, so they didn't make the cut either. Finally, we tried the ultraviolet LEDs, which had just the correct blend of the eerie glow and color wash that he wanted. So these ultimately got his crafty wife's stamp of approval. But something's missing. The house is just too plain. What about the grim grinning ghosts? Well, as I mentioned in my original review of this D56 take on the Disneyland Haunted Mansion, Walt Disney had intended that this haunted mansion would be a retirement destination for spooks and spirits, and that Disneyland would maintain the outside, thus leaving the inside for all the ghouls. So could we create a little more energy inside by using the color-changing LEDs inside, where the happy haunts reside? I figure it's worth a try. So Past Evan took a small piece of white cardboard and glued 4 of the color-changing LEDs to it. He did his best to make the LEDs point at 4 different angles, since these 5mm LEDs are pretty directional. He then took the large amber light from the inside of the mansion and separated it from its gluey mess of wires. He disconnected it and the mess of wires from the main power wire that enters the back of the mansion. We did retain the LED just in case we decide we want to restore the mansion to its original state. Past Evan then glued each of the new front LEDs in place, so he was sure of how much wire he'd have to work with inside. He also reattached the faux bushes in the front of each LED to keep them hidden as Department 56 had intended. Next, he took his interior light board, having been trimmed to be able to fit in the hole, and glued it to the base of the mansion. He then gathered all of the wires together so that they could be connected to the main power coming from the AC adapter. Past Evan removed the connector that he had been using to test and to keep the wires from slipping back inside the building. All the wires were connected and soldered according to their correct polarity. Positive wires with positive wires, and negative wires with negative wires. And a double batch of heat shrink was used to protect the wiring and clean up the look of the installation. I know no one will ever actually see them, but I'll know that they're there. And last but not least, Past Evan used hot glue to put the original plug back into place. Voila! Mwah! Just like from the factory. Well, there you have it, folks. Department 56's Disneyland Haunted Mansion 2.0. Comment below if you think that this is better, or if you think that I'm crazy for having torn apart such an expensive piece. I'll be honest, there were several moments in this process, especially when there was smoke emanating from the windows, when I questioned my own sanity. Heck, I've only been doing holiday villages for a few years now, and I never before would have dreamed of altering one of my village pieces like this. But I've seen some very brave and talented people online who have made certain pieces their own, for lack of a better expression, and I found their skills inspiring. And this is the result of that inspiration. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for going along this crazy adventure with me. I'll be sure to invite you along if I have any other inspirations. Until next time, my fellow villagers, take pleasure in your villaging, and remember to hang on to those original boxes.